For today's cards, I actually wanted to do some more traditional Easter cards. Let me just move my bunnies out of the way so they don't get all mixed up. And I wanted to make, yeah, as I say, some traditional Easter cards. So I'm going to start with one that's a little bit more fiddly, I suppose, but it's this one here. And this is an idea. It's called a floating card. And the idea is that you can float the image on top of the strips. Now, you can do this with acetate that holds the strips together. I've actually used my elements to hold the strips together, my flowers, my crosses, and my large cross for the Easter blessings. So for that, I obviously needed to colour the inside of the card. I probably should have done that darker here because I'm losing my crosses at the back here a little bit against that card, but that was the idea. So I just wanted to show you how to do that. I just use one of the strips to hold it in the back, and then you can put the stuff on the side just to hold it so that it stands up beautifully. So I'm going to show you briefly how to do that. To make the cross, you could actually use the 2 stitched rectangle dies and do 2 pieces like that to make a cross, up to you. But to cut it, you need to cut some strips. And I found if you cut the strips 1.5 up from the bottom, then one that you're going to discard, 1.5, 1, 1.5, 1. That gives you the 3 strips, which I think is a nice number. So how we do that is we simply use the trimmer again. And I'm using the guide on the right hand side. So I want my first strip to be 1.5. Now you could do this by just cutting off a whole thing and then cutting it into strips, but I found this gets it about right for me. So 1.5, then 1, and I'm going to keep one of the 1 strips. 1.5 again. So I'm going to keep that strip because I need it. 1.5 again. No, just under 1.5, a 1. 1.5. And a final 1. So those are my strips. Now, I need to actually colour the card. And as you'll see from this one, I'm using the blending brushes to give a little bit of a halo around the cross. And then I used green to do the base here. And I actually need to do these strips. It might have been better had I actually done them all because the strip up the middle is hidden. I could have done them before I cut them. But anyway, we'll do it this way for now. So I need a spare sheet of paper. Because it's blending, it gets messy. And I'm using Daffodil Delight. Now, we learned last night, by the way, that of the colour refresh. So we are losing 17 colours if you include the 15? I think it's 15. If you include the in colours that are going to stop at the end of this month, which is sad. But the really good news is one of the current in colours, Fresh Freesia, which is actually my favourite, is staying. It's becoming one of the families of colours. So we're only losing 4 of those, which is good. And do me maths, 11 of the others, some of which I'm not bothered about losing. Mint macaron was never particularly my favourite. Can't remember what else. I should put a post up about that later when I get around to it. So I have just inked up my blending brush. Always remember, dab it off first so you don't get any sort of streaks of colour in it. And then I'm just going to move it round to add the colour to the card. And you can do this as much as you want, add as much colour as you want. It's totally up to you. So we want this on the front of the card because this is where the top of the cross is going to be. So that's that one. Add a bit more colour in. And certainly my green, I want it to be darker this time. So I've used Old Olive, we'll see. So that'll do for my front of my card there. And I'm going to use Old Olive. Perhaps I should have used a darker green. I might use garden green actually. It'll be a little darker and quicker to do. So excuse me. Just get We'll try garden green. I think that might be a little quicker and give a slightly darker green actually. So my other blending brush here, I shall pick up that colour. Oh yeah, it's going to provide a darker background quicker, I think. I want this to look a bit rougher because this is obviously grass of the hillside. And I need to take this a fair way up the card because I need it to come another sort of strip up so that it's going behind where that cross is going to sit at the top. So I'm just doing this very quickly. You should probably do it better than me, but just to show you. So you can see I've got a few little lumps of colour. It doesn't really matter, it's grass, so I'm not that bothered. Grass is not even. Yeah, that's fine. And I also need to colour this, whoops, before I drop them on the floor, the strips that are going to come back. So these are the 1.5 inch strips that are going to come back onto here. And I've just used, actually I should have told you this, you should really use the thick basic white for this. I've actually used, this is actually the ordinary basic white, so it's a little bit light for this because it could do with a little bit more weight, I think. So I'm just going to colour these very quickly. So there I have the strips I need to put back. Get rid of that, shut that before I lean in it and do something terrible. So to put these together, the way I've done it is I actually don't want to see, if you look at this one that I've already done, try not to get, I've got colour on my fingers, got to be careful. I don't want to see the end of that strip. I want to see as little as possible. So I actually stick it to the front of the card. So one of these discarded little narrower strips, I'm actually going to stick there in the middle of the card because it's going to be hidden by the cross when I put it on, but it's going to hold these other strips in place. So I am going to put a little bit of glue on the back of there, just on the top bit. Should have left this dry a little bit, still a bit sticky. And I want it to come down to the bottom. I could actually measure this and make sure it's in the middle. I'm just going to use an eye guess for now. So I stick that on there. And then my other pieces then can go on. I'll stick the bottom one first. So that's going to go along the bottom. So put that one on. And I'm just using the base of the card to tell me where I need to stick it. Now I'm just going to put the one cross on here because it's all I've cut out so far. If you'd done the others, you could actually put 2 more sticks down to hold this, but the one in the center is enough, to be honest. So then we're going to have 2 more. Just put glue lady on there. So the second one, I'll put the top one on first. So remember, we've got a 1 centimeter gap. You can actually measure this if you want. I'm just going to do it by eye for ease of quickness today. But you could measure these to make sure you have come down a centimetre. And then for the other centimetre, you just want the gaps to be roughly even. There. So there is my card, which is a little bit flimsy because I haven't used the thick whisper white, the thick basic white, which is silly. What I could do is cut some more strips and put them on the back, actually, and that would really bulk it up and give it a bit more strength. But I just wanted to show you roughly how to make this. And then very simply, I've already stamped my Easter Blessings sentiment. I'm using one of my favourite quick and easy sentiment punches, which is the double oval. So I shall cut out the Easter Blessings in the small oval and then a larger one from Daffodil Delight. And then the cross I'm leaving just as a plain white cross. Might actually use dimensionals for it. So we will have one either side, one at the top, one there before it gets down near the bottom, and then I want one on there and on there. So I'm putting a fair number on because I want it to really stick where it's supposed to. So there is standing up, that's good. So that's adding a little bit more rigidity to it already, and when I put the other things on, it'll add even more. So there is my cross. I'm just going to stick this on the center of the cross, not using more dimensionals. Remember, you've got to be a little bit careful on the width of things if you're going to post them. But to add a bit more strength to the bottom, I'm actually going to use the flowers from the Petal Park set, and I've used the inset flowers in the Petal Park set. There are outline flowers and then ones you can use to infill the flowers. I'm just using the infill flowers because I find I don't need the edge on these. You can see I've just got a white edge as I've punched them out, and that, to be honest, that's fine. So I'm going to use 3 different colours of flowers. I'm going to use Daffodil Delight again because I've used that for both my blending brush stuff and for my sentiment background. So always think, by the way, which round is the punch. So I need those 2 bigger ones at the bottom. Make it easy to punch out. So that's my Daffodil Delight. By the way, is the audio okay? Can you hear okay? Because I did have an awful lot of feedback before, and I think I've sorted it, but it means I can't hear anything now, which is probably a good thing. But let me know if the audio isn't okay, and just let me know if you can hear okay. Right, so we will do, this is Highland Heather. I'm really excited because one of my favourite, or 2 of my favourite colours are coming back, which is excellent. One is Berry Burst, which is one of my very favouriteest sort of purpley maroony reds, purpley red thing. Really nice. And the other one is Misty Moonlight, which was an in colour 2 years ago, I think. Can't quite remember. Oh, thanks, Carol. The audio's okay. Brilliant. So yes, and Misty Moonlight, which was a really nice blue. I quite liked one called Denim Blue. Misty Moonlight's sort of a little bit like that one. So it's nice to have another blue back that isn't just light or dark, and more of a mid blue, but not as bright as Pacific Point, which I find a little bit too bright sometimes. So I've just stamped the flowers 3 times in 3 different colours, and then really quick, because I can just punch those all out. So there are all of my flowers. Now, some of them are quite big, some of them are tiny, some of them are a little bit bigger. But I am going to just use, I've got a little sort of pusher thing here. You can just use your finger. I've actually got nails at the moment, so nails will actually mark the flowers. Whereas using this, I can just, you could use a mat for this. I find the palm of my hand just works really, really well, just to shape some of the flowers. So just doing the bigger ones. I could probably do them all, why not? Have I lost a small one? Seem to have lost a small flower. Oh, there it is over there. Oh, I've done them all. There we go. Just give them a little bit of shape. And then I'm just going to stick them on randomly, but in a way that helps to join some of these together. So, for example, if I stick that across there, I can stick it so that it's top and bottom on the card. And to make sure I'm getting the glue in the right place and not where I don't want it, I actually put the glue on the card rather than on the flower. And then it's just a matter of adding the others where you want them to be. There. So just a simple little card, a little bit of a wow factor because we have got the panels, the floating panels on there, but that makes rather a nice card. And then just to finish it off, just move that bit of glue. I seem to manage to get all over me. I'm just going to use 2 or 3 little gems just up in the corner. So I'll have a small one, a medium one, and a big one. So that is fairly flat on there. That's got a little bit of dimension. It should still go through the post really well. So there, 2 cards.